Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence, and how you doing? I hope you're doing good. Big mahalo for tuning in. Today we got a very special guest joining us. He is a distinguished artist who, while only releasing his debut solo effort in 2007, has been a major force behind the scenes, collaborating with others. He is the second eldest son of Bob Marley. He's produced and performed with his brothers, Julian, Kimani, Ziggy, and Damien. I believe, through all his credits, his total number of Grammys is record-setting for any single Jamaican artist to have achieved. That includes his own records, Mind Control and Mind Control Acoustic, as well as last year's Revelation Part 1, The Root of Life, which features Made in Africa. It's an honor to welcome this talented gentleman to the show. We offer a heartfelt aloha to Stephen Marley. Aloha and mahalo, brother Stephen.
Aloha, my brother.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking, and maximum respect.
Yeah, man. Same to you.
Thank you. And just truth be told, so you know, I've interviewed your brother Ziggy many times. in person, here in the studio, playing for us at stadiums.
Okay.
All over the place. And you've had a real musical life, Stephen. What are some of your earliest musical memories that got this musical journey started?
Earliest musical memories would be us, meaning my brothers and sisters, playing music around the house and inviting the people around the neighborhood to come on weekends and to hear us, play around.
So you're a little kid, and you guys are all together doing your own music around the house with instruments?
We were all little kids.
What are you playing?
Yeah. I was playing drums, actually. I was playing the drum. And Stella was on the piano, Ziggy was on the guitar.
And you can just picture it in your head, huh?
Yeah, man. It's a fun part of our lives.
Yeah, it certainly is. Did your dad involve you in music off stage too? Meaning, fans have heard recordings of those early times that he'd bring you and Ziggy out on stage, for instance. But I also wonder about sort of what you just described, but the off-stage ways that we may not have seen in which your dad nurtured what would eventually be your life's work, which is music.
Yeah, very much so. At the same time, he was very adamant about us being educated, in school. So it wasn't. He didn't want us to feel like because we are Bob's kids, we have to do music, or he wanted us to be real. At the same time, education was very important to him. So we were well focused on school. At that time. And
from what Ziggy told me, you guys used to wear really smart little outfits to school too. He'd get you guys all dressed up.
Uniforms. We were in uniforms.
Right.
I mean, other than that, him teach us. He used to teach us like the scales, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. He used to teach us that and teach us saying it backwards and tell us to sing from your diaphragm and all of these things.
Beyond the singing lessons, were you watching him do stuff with the guitar too?
Yeah, man. I used to fetch the guitar. I used to have to go and fetch his guitar. He used to call his guitar Old Faithful. So he used to say, "Go and get Old Faithful," and we'd have to go and get the guitar. So our father is our mentor. He's not just our father, but him is our Lama, he's our mentor. So, we take all lessons very dearly and, we respect him to the highest level.
Oh, absolutely. And it's such a huge thing to note, the transfer, if you will, of the legacy, the continuing of the legacy, the things that you picked up. Children playing in the streets. On that note, was it your father's idea to record you guys on that? Because I would say in a lot of ways it kick-started Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers and your life of collaborating with your brothers.
It was my mother that really advocated us becoming a group. She went to him and she said, "Bob, they're singing, This was us playing, like I told you, at home, and the neighbors would come until we started charging like a 50 cent or 25 cent and thing." And she went to him and she said, "Bob, they're singing, And him say, "Oh, yeah?" And that's how Children Playing, he wrote that song for us since we were singing, you know, all right. So he gave us our first song, Children Playing.
I love the image, and Ziggy never told me that, so that's a great story. So you guys had basically, as the three of you, Sedelia's on the keyboard, you said, right? Sedelia's on keyboard.
Yeah, and the piano.
On the piano, right? Yeah. And then Zig's on the guitar, you on the drums.
Yeah.
And so you guys started doing this little band and started charging your neighbors a little bit of money. Talk about what you can remember of that. That's great stuff.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, it was all fun, you know, just like how some people have a lemonade stand.
Exactly.
Right, well, we had a little setup in our garage, and, you know, our friends, basically, his friends, you know, and their parents would come through, and, you know, I guess it was cute, but we were really having fun, and we were very serious about it, you know.
Totally. And you can just see it's not just cute, you can see how it fits into the rest of your life, I guess, is what I'm saying, too.
Yeah, well, no, you can see that.
Right.
I guess then, you know, it was just being kids. And
right. Yeah, like a lot of other kids who knew.
Right.
Because it's like you have a lemonade stand, you don't end up, you're going to have like country time lemonade when you're an adult. It's sort of just something you do as a kid. But when you have you guys in the garage having your own little homemade concert, who knew really that you'd end up having this career?
Right. True.
The love about producing. It's kept you so busy in the studio working on other people's records as opposed to recording your own music. Is it just because you just enjoy the collaborative? What is it about producing?
Well, producing is really creating music, you know, and it's very exciting to make something from nothing. You know, you don't know where you start, you know, you start with a little word or a line or, you know, just the whole creative process of seeing and hearing and bringing a song together and bringing the musicians together and all of that is very exciting to me, you know. So I guess it's the creative part of producing that really excites me.
I imagine that they trust you too, to really, you know, when you have an impact on the song, because as a producer, that is a vague word. It allows a lot of influence in some cases, right? Because you could say, hey, maybe you do that part a few more times and then we go to this part of the song. You can kind of start arranging tunes and really getting involved.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've been fortunate to have done a lot of work with my siblings, whereas, as you said, them trust you. Yeah, them trust me, and we believe in each other, and, you know, we work out things together, though. You know what I mean? For the betterment of the song. So I don't dictate, but yet I bring all those years of experience, you know, with me being around my father and being around great musicians, you know. So that's a lot of experience there, you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I mean, that's what they tell me too, because I've talked about you with Kimani and also with Ziggy, and people have a lot of respect for that. And what you just said is very true. They look at you as you don't dictate; you arrive with open ears and ideas to sort of interact and collaborate.
Yeah, true.
When you think about the labor of love that the studio is for you, am I right in saying it's earned you a record number of Grammys for a single Jamaican artist? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's true.
You're the single most, you have more Grammy Awards than any other single Jamaican artist?
Yeah.
Wow. How does that make you feel? Because then at some point, that takes you to a different thing. Now you're both Bob's son carrying his legacy, but you're also carrying a legacy for Jamaica. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's cool, you know. Personally, you know what I mean? Personally, I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. You know, I don't really think about it, you know. And I mean, I love what I do, and, you know, this is me. I was born to make music and things, so whatever comes from it, you know, is great to me. But I don't think about winning Grammys or if I have the most, or, you know what I mean? It doesn't really faze me.
I know that, and that's why it's not like the thing you know, because I know how you guys are. You're very humble. You're very easygoing. That's why I love you cats. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys are just easy to talk to, but it's a nice thing, and I think it's worth what I just said. I think it actually has some resonance, and it's got. While you may not think about it, I think the fact that,
of course, though,
you probably the fact that your dad at least would be like, man, your dad would give you a big high five, huh? He'd be like, I am so proud that you represent.
Give him a big spliff.
Yeah, he wouldn't give you a Ziggy. He'd give you a big one.
A Steve.
What do they call him? A Steve? A spleef? Is that what you said?
I said a Steve.
A Steve.
You know, not a Ziggy, but a Steve.
Oh, is that what they call a big one? Is that what they say?
No, they don't. Well, I in particular roll big one. So I guess if you call a Ziggy a small one, a Steve must be a big one.
I like that. That's good stuff. When you think about these cats who I've named, and am I right? And hopefully I'm not wrong. You've had interactions professionally with Julian, Kimani, Ziggy, and Damien, right?
Yeah.
All of them, right? So when you think about these cats who are all so different, I've got to believe, how are they different to work with in the studio to get what you need done? Is there something that makes each of them unique to partner with in terms of their creative process?
Yeah, I mean, everyone, Damien, you know, brings that fire. He toasts him DJ, so it's a different energy than Julian singing. You know, it's all different, but what I'm saying, same but different. You know, it's the same because every one of us have that passion for music. So being in the studio with each of them is always great. You know, because each one has a passion for this music, and each one lives by their music. So that's always the same, that passion. But I mean, you're dealing with individuals, and no individual is exactly alike. So, the little differences are unique also. But it's great, When
you say passion, the Chant Down Babylon record, 1999, talk a little bit about whether, because I'm assuming it was passion of some kind that brought Joe Perry and Steven Tyler of Aerosmith to do roots rock reggae on that. Yeah,
well, I mean, first of all, it went and showed the world, which, I mean, people know by now, but the respect that the industry of music has for Bob Marley and has for Jamaica and has for reggae music, that you could say a Steven Tyler and a Joe Perry would come on a song, like that, and do their part. So it was great to collaborate with, many different artists on that project, and just the whole respect that they have for my father and, for the music in general. It was great to experience that personally.
It must get intense sometimes when people run into you because of that respect that they have, because when anyone runs into you guys, there's like this level of that's his kid, and I better be extra respectful because I love his music so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, true. Yeah, them accept the cow, them accept the calf.
Right. It's a heavy thing, because especially when you're around Ziggy and he's so humble, and he's sitting there telling these incredible stories. Sometimes I just look at him, it's like, man, it's that's what it's like talking to you, just listening to your voice. It's just it's heavy, channeling your pop, heavy stuff. What
I'm agreeing with you.
What finally prompted you to do your own record after so long, to do Mind Control? What was it that made you say, you know what, I got to do something now, I'm different?
Well, it was just organically the time, I'd done Damien's record, was finished, which at that time was his third record, which was Jamrock. We had completed Julian's record also, and, it was just my time. I had things to say, that it couldn't come out on me just coming out on a record as a guest artist. I needed my own little space there to say a few things. So, it was just a time. I don't have any real big explanations or anything like that. We approach music from a very organic angle, and that's how we don't force anything, try to be influenced by anything to make one do what one is not ready to do, or what is not supposed to be done as yet. So that's the time.
How were you writing it at that time, or how long had you been assembling the music?
Well, over time, I have, I write songs every day, or I will come up with a line or two. So it was accumulation of both. I had songs from the past, and then still, when I decided, all right, I'm going to do like one album, because I thought I was only going to do one album, and then I would go back into the studio and all of these things. But then comes touring, and then, the people that want some more. I say, all right, I'll give you next record.
And you got the Grammy touch. Did it surprise you, the success of these things, or?
No, it didn't surprise me. We know what we put into the work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
heart and soul.
Yeah, so it wasn't really surprising.
Right. Why would you be surprised? You're Stephen Marley. And then we get to Revolution Part 1, The Root of Life. And you know what I'm thinking about, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but between the name of the record and the kind of material that's on it, and then the single Made in Africa, to me, it speaks to one theme that is a theme that was kind of a theme of your dad's too, that the roots of so much of humanity basically come from Africa.
Yeah. Very true, very simple, just like that you said it. Sums it up, the root.
Did you feel it needed to be said? What was it? Does it come from a place of trying to carry the mantle that your dad sort of established these themes, or how does it come that you get so passionate about it yourself?
Well, life. I am passionate about life, and me and my father, we serve the same master. We serve God. What we do is on behalf of the Most High, you know what I mean? And that is a common bond here. And within that, you find that we have, it's similar. It's very similar because of our spirituality. You know what I mean? You have people that are different than their dads, are different than their parents. But, you know what I mean? The spirituality of my parents and the spirituality of myself and my siblings help keep us close, help keep us closely knit.
I get that, and there's a lot to be said for that, because I think about anyone listening thinks about themselves in relation to their own parents and how they may be different or similar, and you guys are very similar, that is worth noting. But I guess the other thing would be, for example, in speaking with Ziggs, we would be talking, and it was like he would basically say, this theme of Africa grew in my life. It got bigger. It became a different thing. It was like as he got older, he got more in touch with it. And I guess I'm asking, is it something that, when did those themes gain personal significance in your life? Was it a journey you took?
Just like Ziggy said, me and Ziggy, our first experience in Africa was with our father. Was Zimbabwe, 1980. We were there when, Zimbabwe got independence from the British.
I've got the recording, my brother. I have the recording.
Yeah. So just like Ziggy say, it's really growing and growing with us, and that being, it's our roots. It's our roots. You know what I mean? And Marcus Garvey say, people without knowledge of their root, of their origin, is like a tree without knowledge of its roots. So these are lessons that we grow with. I've been hearing that from a child. From I was a child. I've been hearing that, you know what I mean? So, and things are embedded in us.
And you were
as
there.
As we grow older and as we get more mature, we know how we want to say the things that are inside of us and deliver these things. So it becomes more powerful as time goes on, you know what I mean?
I do. I totally get it. And it was a seed planted a long time ago. And
yeah.
I have a lot of shows of your dad. A lot of them. I really like all those different late 70s periods and all the trippy jams and the pedals.
Powerful, very powerful.
Oh, it was. It was so very psychedelic. Potent. It was very potent. It was crossover. Yeah. It was very rock, because if you like rock, if you grew up with rock music and you listen to that period of Bob, it's impossible not to like it, because it rocks so hard. All those incredible solos and it's just I really connected with that stuff. When talk about this part 2 follow up. I've heard a little bit about that. Is that something that you intend on? You know, the Revelation part 2 sort of thing. When's that going to be, and what will it be?
All right, Revelation part 2. I'm working on it right now as we speak. You know, and part 2 is really the transition of the music. From the root, you get the branches and the leaves and the fruits. You know what I mean? So part 2, Revelation part 2, is called The Fruit of Life, which is a more eclectic record. You know, it's more diverse. You know what I mean? It's from the root, but it's really about now the leaves and the fruits that this root bears. You know what I mean? So it's really more eclectic. You know, I have a few guest artists on this one also. Wyclef, Akon, you know, Busta Rhymes, Bojo. You know, whereas part 1 I had only my peers from Jamaica as the root, you know.
Right. I dig that. I see what you're talking.
This one is spreading the wings now,
incorporating stuff beyond your own sphere, so to speak, and
more like Mind Control, which, you know, songs like Hey Baby wasn't roots reggae, it was more hip hop,
right?
Influence and, you know, things of that nature.
And musical, stylistically further from the roots thing. And when you talked about the tree, I love the analogy of this thing growing, because it's really defines your life, and it's a good way to sort of wrap it up. Because oddly enough, when you think of a tree growing, I grew up where you were born, in the Philadelphia area in Wilmington, Delaware. I grew up there, bro. That was the town I grew up in. Ziggy and I have laughed about this stuff quite a bit. And he tells me he's still close to family that live there and that he visits once a year.
Man.
How about you?
Yeah, we're still close. And I mean, some of the family that grew up there, some of them is here in Miami too. So we're really in touch, you know, with that part of our lives. And again, Delaware, you know what I mean? That's the first place I remember as far as being away from Jamaica. You know, even though I was born there, I came away a few months old and lived in Jamaica. But going back there, you know, it was always great, you know, and it always brings great memories.
You feel a personal connection to Delaware?
Definitely. Definitely. My neighbor's string was cut there.
Wow. And Wilmington in particular, I'm assuming.
Wilmington in particular.
What a special thing. And I've always thought that was intense, that your grandmom, basically, it was because of your grandma moving there, right?
Yeah. In Wilmington, there's a vast population of St. Anne's folks in Jamaica, where my father came from in the country. There are a lot of St. Anne's people living in Delaware. You know, there's a whole movement there. So, you know, my grandmother was just one of them.
It's so nice, though, the connection and what you said. That's great. When was the last time you were there, my brother?
Last time I was there, last year.
Last year. So you go about once a year?
Yeah, well, I try. I haven't made it once a year every year.
Right, I hear you. But you try. That's all one can do in life, huh?
Man.
As a final note, Hawaii, thousands of miles from the origins of reggae, the musical genre here in our state, as you may know, the dominant rhythm in the islands is in fact reggae. And when you think of that, how would you rank Hawaii in terms of our connection to reggae?
No, and Hawaii is one of the number one places, you know. As even my own experiences, the first album I did was Damien's album called Mr. Marley, and 2 of the songs from that album went number 1 in Hawaii. Right, so you know, I have a hands-on experience to know that Hawaii loves reggae music and is very up there on the list. Yeah. Okay,
so it's one of the top places you can think of outside Jamaica for reggae.
Yeah, of course. You know, you have other places places like Germany, you have other places, you know, that really love reggae music also, and then France, them love it. But Hawaii, speaking, especially being a state here in America, that's the top, that's number one.
We love that. Hey, my brother Steven.
Yeah.
I hope you had fun today. Was this okay? Was it interesting enough to keep your mind occupied?
Yeah, man, a nice reasoning with you, my brother. It's great.
And I feel the same. You're really solid, and your brother spoke so highly. Ziggy said so many nice things about you, so it means a lot to finally get to talk to the brother who is so kind and giving of his time.
Yeah.
And I give you a big hug. I'll give you a high five.
Thank you. You know, losing the physical presence of our father at a very young age, you know, his lessons are there, you know, listen to his songs and just the person that he is and all of these things, but his physical presence, you know, was taken away from us. And really, Ziggy is the one that held us together, you know, him is the one that we look up to. That is Ziggy. See?
It's heavy stuff, brother.
Cool.
Heavy stuff. You're the man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, buddy. And
Dave.
Seriously, you ever need anything, you ever going to come out here, you look me up, cuz, and I'll take good care of you. You know.
Definitely, brother. Yeah, man. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, and just travel safe, keep doing what you're doing, and I really appreciate your time, Steven.
Yeah, man. Thank you for looking me up.
You're welcome.
Respect.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Aloha.
Bless.